Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our Winter 2017 Release Preview webinar. My name is Amanda Lester and I'll be your host. Before I hand it over to our speakers today, I'd like to review just a couple of ways in which you'll be able to interact with us today throughout the live broadcast. First, this webinar is being recorded and it will be made available along with additional information and resources on the Octiv Release Center. You can access the Release Center by going to www.octiv.com/releases. Second is the chat window on the upper left-hand side of your screen. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask our speakers, go ahead and type your question into the window and make sure you hit send. And finally, we want to make sure our webinars offer valuable content and meet your expectations, so please take a moment after the presentation to tell us how we did by filling out the brief post-webinar survey that will appear on your screen. During today's webinar, we will get into the details about the Winter 2017 release. Jim McIntosh will walk us through the product vision for the year, and Melissa Webb will walk us through the featured enhancements that are coming on February 13th, 2017. And finally, at the end of today's webinar, we will show you where you can go to learn more about the upcoming release, and we'll answer your questions live, time permitting. So this is a look at the release schedule. You can see that we have already sent pre-release communication to administrators. Today, we are walking you through a first look of the Winter 2017 key release enhancements. A webinar replay will be available within 24 hours, and it will be emailed out to all attendees and registrants, and it will also be posted on the Release Center, and it's essentially the same link that you use to register for the webinar. Our release, again, is scheduled for February 13th. That is a Monday, and the full release notes will be available that day online on the Release Center. Again, you can get to the Release Center by going to www.octiv.com/releases. And finally, the one thing I wanted to point out is that on February 16th, that's a Thursday, our account management team will be hosting a live release training that will cover all of the enhancements that we're going over today. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Jim.
Hi everybody, glad to be back on another webinar with you to talk about the product. I'm going to start off the day talking a little bit more about product and product vision and sharing that there are a lot of product initiatives that come from you, the customer, requests that you have, things that we see that you need. Some of these are listed here, and then I'm going to take a step into talking about Octiv as an overall platform and kind of connecting the dots to some of the discussions we've had in prior release webinars around multiple use case support. But let's make sure we get this covered. So we do see, and we heard loud and clear from the survey that account management sent out, you're looking to support additional use cases throughout your organization. You've purchased licenses, you like Octiv, and you want to use it in other ways. So we love that. We also heard loud and clear that you want to have the editing improved and the management of documents and assets across the board. There are several things that we're going to go through today, and also things that will be released post-February that are really exciting for everybody. More control around the sharing and collaboration of a document, whether this is in the signing process, the task management and approval. And then I'm going to share more about what we're doing with reporting. So very committed to reporting, want to go over that. And then increasing support for integrations. Our platform is nothing without its integrations. So how are we expanding? What are they doing? What could I do even with the direct API? Really excited to show you some of the information and how you can use a really great resource online. Even a business user can use this API now without having to know code. And then we're expanding some of the cloud assets or cloud file integrations. Looking forward to showing you that. So as I start to describe that, you can imagine that over the years we've built out a lot of services, a lot of core components of our entire platform. This diagram in the center is really kind of structured for you to understand what those components are. We're going to start talking more about the services and about the features and what their capabilities are, and then potentially more about their roadmaps. But the way to read this is to say, when you have Octiv, whether you're introducing it via the Octiv interface on the right-hand side, or you're a developer or supporting this in kind of an internal IT fashion, you have integrations and API access to everything from document generation and branding, workflow and tasks that extend to signature, asset management and document repository, reporting and analytics, more to come there. We're really excited about the future of that. And then also security administration. This platform fundamentally started out targeted and focused with the sales and sales productivity messaging. But we, even in our early days, had a lot of service-based companies working to build things like a statement of work, a proposal, or even deliver a quote. Now that we have expanded kind of from early stage document presentation all the way through to contracts, whether it be an MSA or agreement that you're signing off on and maybe executing with DocuSign, we are getting many, many more use cases for legal. Even to that point, as we start to look at this platform, we have many IT organizations that are very involved with the Octiv platform and how it's being utilized in their environments. There are customers using us for HR use cases. Those are legal documents as well. If you think about an offer letter, that's much like a proposal. Many of the components that we have can be leveraged across your organizations, whether it's in HR and then you see in finance through some robust integrations. A great example of the finance innovation that we have is that through our integration with the Force.com platform or Salesforce, applications like Financial Force, we can generate and deliver invoices for Financial Force or other financial packages that may be installed in your Salesforce.com platform, and deliver them and get all of the very same tracking, building, templating, and assets. And that also extends even into more of the purchase order side of things. So you're going to hear more in the coming days, weeks, and months about Octiv, Octiv's platform, and how we are speaking now to more than just sales, but also how it kind of unifies and ties all of these departments together. So more to come on that. This is not the only time you're going to hear it, but you are hearing it a little bit earlier than some of the marketing and information will be on the website. We're going to move into enhancements, and I'm going to hand this over to Melissa. Melissa, you can take it away.
Great. Thanks, Jim. So I am going to walk you through some of our featured enhancements for the winter release. The first one I want to talk about are some task improvements. We understand that when you're working through drafting a document or pulling a document together, you may need to call on a lot of different subject matter experts for help that aren't necessarily part of your management structure. So we've extended task assignment so that you're able to assign a task to anyone, regardless of your management structure that's set up in Octiv. One thing to note for this feature in particular is that you'll still only see anyone in your own work group if your organization uses the work group functionality. So the next thing I'd like to talk through are being able to save some time with recipient suggestions when you're adding people to a document. We at Octiv serve several different industries where recipients of documents may be the same people over and over again. For those of you who don't use Salesforce, this means fully typing in those recipients every time you want to send them a document. You may have noticed that you now see a list of names as you start typing in the first name box in the Add People modal. And this is showing you a list of anyone that's received a document that you have access to view, any document you have access to. So if you select one of those names, it'll populate that whole Add People form for you. One of my personal favorite features from this release is the ability to send multiple emails within a document to the same recipient. So previously, once you sent the initial email notifying your recipient that the document was published, it was ready for them to view, you had to solely rely on automated email notifications or emails that you are sending outside of Octiv even to remind them to do things or answer questions. Now you're going to be able to send your very own reminder emails or answers to questions, and those can be tracked within the document too, right there with the original or initial email that you sent that person. Another email improvement is the ability to save multiple email templates for reuse. You may have different wording for inviting someone to view a proposal versus sending them a contract to sign, and many others. So we allow you to marry up an email template with a document template. So your document creators are going to see the right email template when they're sending an email from a document. You can also save different versions or types of email templates to choose for different scenarios that can be selected by the document creator when they're sending an email to their recipient.
This is a long sought after and a big improvement for many customers.
Yeah, definitely, and definitely a time saver as well. Signer status, this is another great one that I really like. We added additional information on the document list view so that it's quicker to see the status of a particular document, specifically those documents that are going through a signature process, without having to open up that document and dig around to find what that status is. So in this example screenshot that we have here, I selected a document, and I can see on the right-hand side that this document is waiting on signer 2 to sign. So I could open up that document and send a follow-up reminder email now that we can send multiple emails with our fancy new email feature. And since I have email templates, I could already have that reminder email crafted and saved as a template, and so I could select that and send it out, and that makes this a really quick 30-second process.
All trackable as well.
All trackable, yeah. So it's all right there in your document. Next, for those administrators out there, we've added the ability to preview variables in a document template, just to make it easier for you to test out what the document's actually going to look like once the data is populated for your document creators. So before, you kind of had to guess, or you had to create a document off of the template just to see when you connected that document to an opportunity what it was going to do or what it was going to look like. But now, for example, if you use, let's say, Salesforce, you can select a test opportunity while you're in the template to preview that template right there in the same place, and it'll show the template in preview mode as if it were a real document that your document creators are going to be sending out.
This really kind of separates the the need to have to work as an administrator building templates in the standard build process, and now we can actually do this much more in the document template view.
Exactly.
Separated.
Yep. And another handy tool for administrators and helping to make it easier on that side, on the administration side, is some additional formatting available around auto-generated pricing tables. So instead of having to use the source code to build these, you can build your table in the UI with help from the handy drop-downs that are going to show you available variables to use.
And how is it exactly that you get those to show up?
Yeah, definitely. So if I have that pricing table and I just click into the cell and type a percentage sign, it's going to drop down a list of all of the variables that I have available to use in that pricing table. So you can see that screenshot over on the right-hand side of the screen.
It fills in the appropriate variable, and it will loop through all the records that you have there, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Great, thank you, Melissa. I'm going to take it and talk a little bit more about kind of the platform, the interface, and the API, and how to work to build out your own integrations. A couple months ago, we released an update to our API. In the past, we had some documentation out there, but it was very cumbersome to work through the documentation. You really had to be a developer to know how to set up testing it and working with it and getting most accurate information. What we're doing here is we've released this really nice interactive API documentation that allows a developer to quickly test without having to set anything else up all the different components of the API. So I'm going to show you another screen here. If once you hit the your account name .octiv recipient.com/API, you will receive this screen. And if you have an API key for your user, you put it in the top bar, and then you can expand all of those services, whether it's trying to create a contract, whether it's working with users, whether it's uploading or managing of assets, all of those things now, you get this interface that you're seeing here in this green section where we tell you about what is going to be used in the API request, and then simply by clicking that, it adds that information to the left-hand side, and it helps the person use the UI to actually send and trigger or post a request. So here, this is a full text box where I can just send in, I'm creating a test document for contract content. If you actually had an engineer stuffing or pushing more information into here, whether it's pricing tables or other assets from your system, this is kind of the structure in which it would look. Don't worry about the syntax. That's why we give you the starting point. But then in the API, in that application or on the web, all you have to do is say post, and actually what's going to happen behind the scenes is it responds almost like our UI. It would be creating a document. And new words would show up. The title would be correct, of course, based on that prior post, but you automatically, programmatically create a document. So this fits right in line with kind of the one-directional nature of I have a system that's passing data to Octiv, and I have a smart template that reads that data in and kind of responds. That's one way. But many of our integrations that have been proven to be most successful are bidirectional in nature. So the Salesforce workflow of I create a document out of an opportunity. Once that document's in the wild, Octiv actually does a bidirectional nature and pushes back statuses and updates. So there's another piece to this which is called Webhooks. Webhooks helps those developers have our system trigger and send back data or information to maybe their internal custom-built CRM, or maybe they want to build out their own integration to another platform. The example I'm showing on the right-hand side is that I would say for the event of viewing a document, I'm going to send back to this endpoint, and an endpoint is just API language. Don't need to go too deep here, but your developers or engineers could work to set up these ways to receive information every time a document is built. So this could be incrementing for tracking purposes. This could be updating multiple locations for status. The list goes on and on. If you think about task completions, on versioning of documents, all of these events are now made available for your engineers, your software engineers or developers, to push data back to those systems. So our integrations are world-class, best-in-class, and now we're giving your developers or your engineers a lot of the tools to help extend and build those out themselves. Really excited about that. Would love to get more feedback and support more of you to do those things. I'm going to give just a quick update now on the platform, just as a summary slide here. For the document, I think everybody would agree that the resending of emails, the task improvements allowing you to work more collaboratively across your organization are really great additions. The suggesting of recipients should really help accelerate the creation and sending of documents. And then also more visibility, and this is going to be, that's a common theme that we're going to continue to harp on in 2017 around just overall status, what's outstanding, what's next. We're giving that kind of an example with the signer status. For those people managing templates, email templates is a great way to help system or bring kind of a process or a system to your employees. If it's a follow-up, what kind of language they might want to have. If this is an introductory type of message or a document that you're sending along, now there are multiple templates that can be there ready to use. And then the ability to actually work as a template manager with variables as you're building a template, really great. And then the auto generation of tables. We're trying to remove the need for understanding complex code and giving you more of a point-and-click business user interface to work with those types of controls. And then I just finished up with the administration API and webhooks. So now we're going to go into updates on beta programs that we've got. And Melissa, you're going to go through the presentation beta program update.
Yeah, absolutely. So many of you have may have been involved in our beta program for presentation enhancements over the last several months, which included the ability to import editable slides and creating a slide content library to match how we manage content for proposals and other documents. We ran these features through a beta program to validate the way we solved for these new workflows, and it was really successful. I will talk through each of these enhancements in more detail now. We are releasing the ability to import editable slides to everyone who has access to the presentations use case with this release. And if you'd like access to the other enhancements, which I'm going to walk through, we're asking that you let your account manager know, and we'll be happy to turn those on for you. So for the first one, importing editable slides, when you import from PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint today, the slides come in as flat images, and those can't be edited. So there's just an image, can't edit anything on the page. With this release, you'll see an option to import those slides as editable, which will be the default. You can uncheck that box. So you see in the screenshot over on the right-hand side, that editable box. If you uncheck that box, you'll still be able to import those slides in the flattened image form as well. So we're leaving that option for you to use as well. And along that point, I just want to remind everyone that with any transfer from one system to another, there are always going to be things that don't transfer perfectly. So I would recommend, if the slide doesn't import to your specific needs, that you would use that the way that we've done it before, that flattened image for that particular slide, so that it turns out exactly how you want it to look. The editable portion is really useful for slides where you may need to tweak the text a little bit from presentation to presentation, so you don't have to fully re-upload the entire presentation every time you need to do that. Again, this feature will be included in the release, this winter release, by default for everybody who uses that presentation use case. The next thing I'd like to talk about, adding slides to the asset library. This is something, if you already use content for proposals, it works basically the same way as that works. So you can copy a slide into your slide content library, and it's now saved almost in a favorited area for your document creators to access and pull into their presentation. So instead of having to wade through potentially thousands of slides across potentially hundreds of presentations that you've uploaded over time, they can focus on the ones that are maybe approved by the marketing team or have been vetted as really good slides to use. So once a slide is in your asset library as slide content, it can be referenced as a slide in a presentation template. If you have a slide you use across multiple templates, and you need to make a change to it, like maybe your corporate vision, you maybe use that across all of your templates. If you need to make a change to that slide, you can just make that change in the asset library, and that change will take effect across all templates where that slide is used. So this is really nice for time saving and just to make sure that that change is going to take effect everywhere that you want or expect it to.
Yeah, this is really parity with how we'd work with documents in, say, a proposal. Right?
Exactly, yep. Just like you can do reference content in a proposal, you can do reference content in a slide now, or in a presentation. And then the next thing, and I kind of already talked about this, but just reiterating that once a slide is in the slide content area in your asset library, those document creators or someone who's creating a presentation can access that content library via the asset panel in the document. So this gives them a targeted list of slides that you've approved or been vetted, or you've decided are really great slides to pull from to use in presentations. So all of these last three things I discussed around the asset library and slide content, that's all available to you today. You just need to let your account manager know if you'd like us to turn those features on for you, and we'd be happy to do that. It also is included in your presentation use case, so just let us know and we'll enable those for you.
Yeah, I would say that the initial use cases that we set out to have, and then as we've added things, we believe in having configuration, not customization. So these are available if you should use them, and work with your account manager or support client health team to know if you want to have those on or not. So it may fit your workflow, it may not. And I'm always good at interrupting there, and this was timely. So it's my turn to talk about the Insights beta program. We're going to go over a very important topic. We've had some end-of-life communication around the Insights ad hoc report builder. I wanted to share that just to make sure it's very clear to everybody that on February 13th, the ad hoc report builder that is a BI platform that we licensed and embedded will be sunset and turned off. The reason that we are going about this is that we found that while everybody really liked all of the data that we gave access to in that custom ad hoc builder, the interface was far too complex. We were having to go through multiple rounds of training. Some of the feedback that we received was that I have to learn a BI platform for my job. This one doesn't have all the data yet. I have to learn another BI platform. So what we're doing kind of transitions into the next few bullets. We're taking the best of the data that you had with that full experience, the best of the reports that we had built on that platform, and we're migrating them to the Reports tab. So after February 13th, the Insights tab will go away, and we are adding a great deal more data as we go and more reports to the Reports tab. So those reports are the page activity report. I need to know how much time is being spent or engaged with some of my key content. Melissa just talked about referenced content or referenced slides. Those are going to be very helpful to know if implementation, if you're in software, or your delivery statement, if you're in a services-based business, whatever that might be, are going to be there so you can report on that. Background jobs report is really oriented to the administrator. That background jobs report would give you visibility to say, are there errors happening with any of my integrations? How would I find maybe an authentication error, understand how to resolve it? We're going to give you more information in the Reports tab to be a little bit more self-service in how you're managing and supporting those inside your four walls. We're also making a lot of UI improvements to the overall interface, and I'm going to show you one on the next screen. There's a brand new date picker allowing you greater control than just the 7, 30, 90-day view that we had initially. Now we're going to be able to do custom date ranges, more options for relative ranges for you to work with there. Many of you on the phone are starting to adopt, our enterprise customers anyway, are starting to adopt work groups. We're going to give you reporting that allows you to see performance by each work group that you have access to report on. And as we mentioned, there's a lot of data that you would like to get access to. More of those measures or metrics or more of the attributes are going to be made available for reports, and then we're going to give you the ability to hide or show the columns that you want to present in your report. So this is a bit of a journey. Thank you for those who participated in the beta Insights. It's greatly informed how we're going to improve reporting going forward. So this one slide talks about how the new date picker, as you can see it on the right-hand side there, is now allowing you to do more specific custom ranges and more specific relative ranges. Things like today, yesterday, this month, last month, for a lot of comparison's sake. And then more filters are going to be added here. So this isn't something that needs to be discovered or a lot of drill down, but these things should be very self-discoverable, self-trainable features in these reports. Integrations. Talked about it at the top there that we would get into this. Many of you were using our cloud assets or cloud pages where you have marketing collateral, say, in Box. You don't want to create or duplicate that into Octiv. Can I place a reference in an Octiv document and pull in that collateral, that work order form, whatever it might be, from Box? We started out with Box, Google Drive, Dropbox, and OneDrive, and we've opened this up and expanded it to include services like Azure Storage, Microsoft SharePoint Online. Ignite is a wonderful platform, and you'll even notice that very enterprise-focused CRM systems like Alfresco and Alfresco Cloud are now in the loop along with Salesforce files. So we really urge you to look at maybe ways even from a HubSpot where you could leverage or have those files at the access as people are building out documents in Octiv. Very exciting to announce that this is more of a kind of an innovation. We worked with some good friends at Cirrus Insights. Cirrus Insights is built to deliver a lot of inbox utilities. So they ride alongside your Gmail or your Microsoft Outlook, Office 365 Outlook, and they bring you all of the information from, say, Salesforce to do your work where you work. Now, with Octiv, we have the ability to have Octiv documents created in that build view, whether it's for Gmail or Outlook. And so here's a little bit fuzzy, but I want to just point out that with Cirrus Insights, there's a plugin that you can go search and understand. If you have Salesforce and you are a customer of us with Salesforce, this Cirrus Insight plugin extends, and I'm showing you Gmail here, a toolbar to the right-hand side. And what it allows you to do is say, Mr. Jack Rogers here, I would like to create or deliver a document, or I would like to follow up on a document, maybe this is the NDA, that he was delivered. All from where I'm working, not having to open up Salesforce, not having to potentially even navigate then to the Octiv portion of your Salesforce integration. So this is really innovative. We're trying to shift more to where all of you work on a regular basis and give you all the benefits of Octiv while you're working. So I'm going to do a real quick summary here. This is a lot to take on and understand. But understand that there were many, many platform updates, everything from resending a document or resending an email with a document link for those follow-up reminders, whatever that might be. Greater emphasis and focus on workflow through task improvements. More to come there. Some productivity improvements around recipients and signer status. And then more kind of administrator type tools with the ability to export snippets, which we didn't even cover in this today. But again, this also is a really kind of milestone for the presentation tool or the presentation document type, where now you can work more in line with how you'd expect our other documents to function. All of that is now parity in the presentation product. Reporting, a big emphasis now and going forward. You're getting additional reports. I mentioned when I went through the reporting section that we are not going to be waiting for the next major release to release more reports. We will call out new reports when they become available. We will also be adding more functions, more data to the reports available. And then integrations, we're doubling down in 2017 on more integrations, improving them, expanding them, making them easier to use. So Cirrus Insights is kind of the inbox one that we talked about. Alfresco and some of the others are more of those enterprise document management or content management platforms that you can now work in conjunction with your Office document or your Octiv documents. Amanda, can you kind of complete and wrap things up here?
Sure. So today's release preview webinar is just one of the many ways that we are communicating upcoming changes and enhancements with the winter 2017 release, which is scheduled for February 13th. To best prepare yourself and your organization for any major product releases, we highly recommend going to the Release Center online to view the official release notes and access additional resources. One of the things that we have included in the Release Center is a view of any planned or enhancements that are in production. So it's a nice view of the product roadmap right from the Release Center. So again, to access that, go to www.octiv.com/releases. In addition to that, we also provide training courses, and to help prepare you and your organization for this upcoming release, we have an online release training that is currently scheduled for Thursday, February 16th at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will send out a link where you can go to register for that in the chat window. But our account management team is really great about putting those together, and it's a great resource. So I recommend registering for that. And we have 3 key takeaways from this webinar. First, this release will be in production in your accounts on February 13th, and there will be no planned downtime, or and your documents will also not experience any downtime. Second, this webinar is being recorded and will be posted in the Release Center, where you can get a deeper look into today's topics. And third, this is a really, Jim mentioned at the top of the webinar, a lot of additional use cases that are now available with our best-in-class platform. If you would like to take advantage of these new use cases and learn a little bit more about that, we recommend contacting your account manager. So go to octiv.com/platform use cases.
Great. I see the window that we're collecting some questions. Amanda, do you have any of them kind of teed up, or the things that we want to go through?
Sure. So we have a question from Cindy. Will we be able to access Octiv documents using Salesforce One?
Great question. Yes, that was something that we supported as of last year. All of the information and the screens there are available and Salesforce One compatible, yes.
And we also have a question about the Resend email functionality. Is the Resend email functionality only available when logged into Octiv, or is it also available in Salesforce?
Yeah, that is absolutely available when you are accessing our documents through Salesforce. So you should be able to resend emails via logging in through Octiv standalone, or when you're logging in through Salesforce looking at an Octiv document. Good question.
We have a question from Tom. Mel mentioned that we can now answer a customer's question by responding using the resend capability. Does this mean that a customer question is now received and archived within Octiv?
So we have not updated the functionality around asking a question. So if it were me, I would probably, since I want to track that in Octiv, so with the functionality today, I would copy that question and create a new email, put that in the email and put my response in the email, and that's how I would track that with my document.
We have a question from Josh. So with reporting, are you planning on moving away from custom report creation and adding more out-of-the-box report options with filtering capabilities?
That's precisely what we're doing. So we learned a great deal about the data that was being used in a custom reporting interface. Again, Josh, and that the learning curve that was required to build those custom reports was proving very problematic. So we are very much so bringing those data to standard canned reports and having very simple filters to include the metrics that you want, and also filter or group the data the way that you would want. Thank you.
We have a question from Sarah. Will Octiv set the Cirrus Insight integration up, or do my users have to individually install this?
Really great question. So there are a bunch of resources around the Cirrus Insights tool that our partner marketing team is putting together. You will see information on our website when this is fully released, as well as the Cirrus Insights inbox applications. So they will go through and spell out how to do that.
We have a question from Kelsey about reports. Will there be more columns of data available in the current reports available in the reporting tab? And if so, what new reports are coming?
There are new data coming in each of the columns. So, and there will be a kind of a standard way of clicking on the column header and selecting the columns of data or the data that you would like to present for each row. So that will be there. There are more reports coming. We are in the process of refining that list. I do not have a list to share on the webinar today.
We have a question from Nicole. If there are multiple email templates and none are set as the default when sending an email, will Octiv prompt the user to select a template?
Yep, no, that's a good question. So everyone starts with the Octiv default email template. So if you do nothing, if you do absolutely nothing, everyone's still just going to see the default template that we always provide to everyone as kind of a standard. They can, if you do create additional templates and you set one as a default, then anyone who's sending an email will see that as the first email template, or when they click send email, that's going to be the template that they're going to see initially. At that point, they can select from a drop-down to change that template to a different one if they want.
It's one of the questions I see in here. Any updates on downloading to Word? Yes, I would say that there's nothing to share in this release, but I would give you that there's a great deal of development and R&D in improving the download to Word, as well as some innovative approaches to how we work with Octiv to Microsoft Office and back. So look for information about that in the coming months, and potentially a webinar where we might be soliciting beta participants.
So it looks like those are all the questions we have for today. If you have any additional questions for our team, please feel free to reach out to us via the support portal or reach out directly to your account manager, and we'll follow up with you as quickly as possible. So that is it, everyone. Thank you again for joining us today. Jim and Melissa, thank you for giving us a first look at the Winter 2017 release preview. And as a reminder, again, today's webinar is going to be posted on the Release Center and emailed out to all registrants. We look forward to seeing you on February 16th at 4 o'clock p.m. for our release training webinar with our account managers. Thanks, everyone, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you.